Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya
Gadagay says as your first announcement. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON founder Jaya Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Vyasa Puja ki. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
On behalf of ISKCON of Philadelphia and the disciples of His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, we welcome everyone here today to the most auspicious day of the appearance of His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai! So at this point, we are going to do homages, offerings to Srila Prabhupada. Different devotees will be called up at this time. We'll go till it's about 45 minutes or so. So we want to make sure that everybody, we're going to go, okay, so let me go back for a second. We're going to go to about 11:45, it'll be Pushpanjali. Srila Prabhupada's lunch will be brought out here as well. Prasadam feast will be around 12:30. So because we want to make sure we get everybody in, we ask that everybody keep their homages to at least between 3 and 5 minutes at the most. We have devotees, more people will come. We have a bunch of devotees in the kitchen that are cooking for Srila Prabhupada that we need to get in as well. So with that, we'll hand it over. Mother Sangeeta, how do you want to call the devotees? I'll let you.
Second generation first?
Okay.
Yeah. Opposite.
Okay, so we're going to start from the bottom and then we'll go to the top. It's always good, it's always safe to be. Mercy flows down.
Are you setting up over there?
Yeah, so we'll set up, what we'll do is we'll have a chair here. We're going to sanitize the microphone after every speaker. The way we have everything set out, you should hopefully feel comfortable that we're spaced apart. Mother Sangeeta, I really want to call you to kind of direct this part of it, if you can. Appoint the devotees. I feel more comfortable who you want to go. I like being.
Everybody, Hare Krishna. I don't know if you see me feverishly working with the buckets over here. For anybody who can't see it, there's wasps over there. The nest, I kind of circled it off. Just be very aware of that area and just be very careful. Look down on the ground before you step. Once they bite you, they will keep biting you. Ouch.
So I think we should keep this a little bit this side. Yeah.
Like the screen one.
Okay, who would like to come up first? Anybody? Raise your hand and come up. Sita? Okay, Sita Devi.
Just spray the paper towel and what you might.
Hare Krishna. As the Sri Prabhu said, bottom up. I'm most fallen. At the same time, I am so blessed with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It overwhelms me when I think of how I was without Prabhupada and how I am with Prabhupada. Prabhupada has literally picked me up and given me this amazing feeling, regardless of how much troubles I go through. I feel like he's there. He's always holding my hand. He doesn't let me go. There are times when I feel like this is it, I go empty. All of us know that. We wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be celebrating, we wouldn't be together as a family. Everything and anything starts with Srila Prabhupada. If he didn't take the step at age 70, what he did for us, we wouldn't be here. We would be lost in this material world. We'd be doing all the stuff that everyone does and super lost and never be able to taste this beautiful, beautiful mercy of Krishna, beautiful love for Krishna. And at the age of 70, Prabhupada did this. And look at us. We're like, oh, I myself, I start doing things and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm getting old. And then I say, well, if Prabhupada can take steps at age 70, I am nowhere. So I just keep on telling every time I hit a hurdle and, mental blockage and my conditioning and everything, I just pray to Prabhupada and I say, well, if Prabhupada can do that, what am I? He had heart attacks, he had stroke, he had whatnot, but he never stopped, So, I got an ache here and an ache there, and I just sit down and like, no, he never sat down. He kept on preaching, he kept on doing his love for us. He was showering his love for us. He didn't have to do anything. He was going to go back to Goloka anyway. But he came here and he did all that for us. So we have to be, I have to remind myself that all the time, and I say, well, I got to keep going, and I am very, very, very fortunate, and I pray to Srila Prabhupada to give me the strength and keep me at his lotus feet and help me not deviate from this path ever. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Voice is manifested toward a golden future. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Yeah, that's fine. Hare Krishna. Sorry I've been running around. YouTube seems to be having some issues this morning, so yeah, I was thinking about what I was going to say today, and all I feel that I want to express is gratitude. I think that I've been coming around here for about 8 years now. It's amazing. It's been 8 years, but I wouldn't be any other place. I'm really glad to be here with everyone and with all the devotees and having growth and opportunities to expand my Krishna consciousness and to experience tech challenges. But I know that all of these challenges, I was just in the sound room just a minute ago, I'm like, Krishna, why do you keep challenging me? I'm just trying to stream this today and everything keeps breaking. But I know that this is just maybe Krishna's way of intensifying my desire to really want to serve him and keep pushing through. And I try. So my offering to Srila Prabhupada is, thank God Krishna brought you here to us, because it's a miracle that you were able to do what you did in the short period that you did. And it's a miracle that we can all congregate here, even during a pandemic, that we can still be here together and share in this opportunity to glorify our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to serve with you and giving me the opportunity to grow and learn from all of you. I'm looking forward to the next year and the next decade in this movement, in the next lifetime and after lifetime, serving Srila Prabhupada and serving Lord Chaitanya. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have to run back to my laptop, sorry. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry, I was going
Oh, okay.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Manjali Suti Swami Swami. I come up here completely unprepared. I did not even think to or write anything. But I did keep thinking about how Prabhupada, I think of rivers, because I'm an outdoor hippie kind of guy. And I think of the river of love that Prabhupada just pours right out. And that the flowers on the altar in there right now and here, we appreciate them. And they're so simple. Yet Krishna says, offer me a flower with love and devotion. And I think to myself, Prabhupada had such mercy on all of us, and this ocean of mercy just came out like a river and just poured into every one of us in the entire world, regardless of who we were, regardless of how fallen or great we were, or how much we think of this or think of ourselves. And I just keep thinking about these flowers, because I work as a landscaper. I have a little private business, and I take care of a bunch of old people here in Mount Airy. And they're invalids, and this one beautiful couple that I work for, they're very simple and they're very kind. They're kind of agnostic. They don't really like God, the idea of God, but they like the idea of connection and the divine. And they love flowers. So I bring them garlands, and I bring them garlands for a couple of years now. And we talk about philosophical concepts and stuff. And I think to myself, if it wasn't for Prabhupada coming and having this mercy just flowing through him like a river to every one of us, no matter who we were, what we did, what we're doing, we would be nowhere. I would be dead probably. But these people, these old people, Nettie and Dan, they're such sweethearts, and they just love simplicity. And that's what we all strive for, simple life. And that's what Prabhupada helped us to think about. Simple living, high thinking. And so I just keep thinking about this, that how I feel such loving mercy from him. And I just, Prabhupada, I thank you so much, because through your loving mercy and showing us how to offer things and flowers, you make these beautiful things, and every one of us shares cookies and for us, and we share that love of Krishna through some prasadam. And it seems so simple, but it has an incredible, incredible effect. And if it wasn't for Prabhupada, we wouldn't be able to share that. So each one of us are kind of like on the inner circle. We know something about Krishna consciousness. We're attracted to Bhagavad Gita. But Prabhupada's mercy keeps coming, and we just share this stuff. So I encourage each one of you to just share garlands, share flowers. Do it in an innocuous way, so you don't have to tell everybody everything about Krishna consciousness, but just share it. That mercy will flow quite easily. Love you. Love you all. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.
I just wanted to make a comment about something that said when he was talking about offering flowers. I was remembering something Prabhupada told us in Los Angeles, that he said when you walk by a flowering bush or a tree, a plant, and if somebody picked the flower and smelled it and dropped it on the ground, it would do nothing for you, and it would do nothing for the soul in that plant, right? It does nothing. It's useless. That whole act is useless. But when we take the same flower from the same bush and we offer it to the spiritual master and Krishna, the soul in that flowering bush gets elevated to a higher birth. And you make advancement for offering that flower to the Guru and Krishna. So Prabhupada said, so everybody wins. You win, the soul and the plant wins. But the other way, nobody wins. It's a lose-lose situation. So it just reminded me when Srila Prabhupada said that. It was such a simple thing, but it's actually not, you know. It's such a wonderful thing, just offering a flower. You know, you make advancement, and then soul in the plant makes advancement. It's so simple. But as devotees, you know, we do it all the time, every single day, and we just take for granted. But it's actually a very wonderful act of devotion. So Prabhupada mentioned this one time in LA. You know, he would go around with a basket of flowers and hand them out to the devotees, and we would just wait there on our knees, you know, like children waiting for the Father's mercy. So I just want to thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, so Ram Shram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshata Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Sarvada Shiva Shadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Vancha Kalpataruvascha Kripasindhu Devata Saritana Respected Srila Prabhupada ji, today is your most auspicious appearance day in this material world and a very big day for all of us in this family of ISKCON. All around the world, devotees are celebrating your very auspicious Vyasa Puja ceremony with great enthusiasm. Even in this difficult time when the world is suffering from this difficult disease, I find myself unqualified to say any word in your glorification, as your glories are beyond these material worlds. Where should I begin to glorify you? All that you have done in spreading Krishna consciousness for welfare of all fallen living entities in this material world is above my imagination. When you first met your spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj in Kolkata in 1922, he instructed you to preach Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message of Krishna consciousness throughout the English-speaking world. Further again in 1936, before leaving this world, he again gave you the same instruction. He also told you, if you ever get money, print books. After nearly 40 years of preparing within India to carry out your spiritual master's order while maintaining your family and business responsibilities, you boarded a cargo ship from Kolkata to Boston in 1965. And at the late age of 69, with 40 rupees in your hand and a few copies of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was the first ever in English, your aim was to introduce this message of peace and goodwill to the Western world. During the next 12 years, you traveled extensively around the globe and inspired thousands of fallen living entities to devote their life to Krishna consciousness, which is one of the great spiritual movements in the history of the world. One of your most significant contributions to this world are your transcendental books, glorifying Lord Krishna. Your books have transformed many persons' life. Your books have been translated into many different languages and thus being accessible to almost all the people in the world. And the BBT established by you in 1972 exclusively printing and continues to publish your books and have thus become the world's largest publisher of books. In 1966, you gave us this International Society of Krishna Consciousness, which is popularly known as Hare Krishna movement, and gave us the 7 mission statement for us to follow. In the Gurvastam prayer, in the first verse, this world is compared as a forest fire, and the spiritual master is compared as a merciful cloud which brings the causeless mercy to the materially burning living entity. I see you are the best example as you showered your causeless mercy to all the people without discrimination. I am eternally grateful to you for giving me shelter into your ISKCON family. Please bless me with your causeless mercy so that I can become an instrument in your mission to glorify Lord Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and follow your instruction and teaching given by you. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunya Parikastyate Deshitarine Om Aganata Varandasya Giranjana Shalakaya Chakshur Vamaletam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Srila Prabhupada ki Srila Prabhupada ki Srila Prabhupada ki. This is a magnificent day. This is the most auspicious day. Without Srila Prabhupada, we would not all be together. We wouldn't know each other. And we'd be all just lost in the material illusion, the material energy. Srila Prabhupada, you crossed the ocean to come to save us. You worked, served tirelessly day and night, put yourself at risk. You always had faith in Krishna. You always had your eye on the target to serve the order of your spiritual master, the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You're always protected. For this, we are always grateful. We'll always be grateful. When a person gives their life for you, and they don't even know who you are, you can't but feel a sense of eternal debt to that person. You've given us the eternal treasure of Krishna consciousness, our original consciousness. You've given us the ticket to go back home, back to Godhead. I pray that you remain the center of our society, our hearts, our consciousness. Whenever there is struggle, please, I ask that you manifest yourself as the galvanizing, as the galvanizing factor that brings everybody together. When we forget that Srila Prabhupada is in the center, we all go in our different directions. And Srila Prabhupada, you're in the center, we all come together. Srila Prabhupada, you are the uniting force for us. You are our spiritual master. You are the Jagat Guru. Today, let us glorify Srila Prabhupada with all our hearts. Let us sing from the deep inside of our core, glorifying this, our divine master, who has given his life to save us. His divine grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Anybody else want to speak before we start the Vyasa? You want to speak? Okay. Want to come up?
Anybody interested?
Devi Devakuru, do you want to speak now, or do you want to wait until we have the
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Okay, well, we were gonna, I think you missed the announcement, we were gonna have the second generation speak, and then Prabhupada speak.
Whatever you want.
Okay, thank you. All right, so anybody else want to come up besides Vatsala, Mataji? Anyone else? Hariashra? Yeah? Okay. And then we'll have Vatsala. Thank you.
So it's it's sometimes difficult for me to speak about Srila Prabhupada on these kind of things publicly, because most of my relationship is private with Srila Prabhupada. When you think of the fact that all of us, even before we knew the name of Krishna, we kind of had a relationship with God. And when we were able to have that relationship, talk to him, reveal our minds, ask him to help us and use us. So with Srila Prabhupada, he's always been there like that. Kind of like a constant companion. I first met Srila Prabhupada in 1975, and he was coming up the walkway of the temple there on Woodlawn Street. So I offered my bases and went and got him and carried him up the stairs to the temple, because the devotees weren't back yet, they were walking the car. And when he got up to the top of the step and took off his shoes, I looked at his feet and I thought I should touch him. I thought he might fall. And so instead I put my hands in his shoes and touched it to my head. When I lifted my head, he was gone. And the next time I saw Srila Prabhupada was the next year. Rabindra Shroop took me to see him in 76 at 55th Street. And he made me stay in the Bhakti program. So we got to see Srila Prabhupada before he left. And before he left, after he was speaking, he was a little ill. I pulled away from the crowd, and I went over to, as he was walking up the ramp, and I says, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. And he turned slightly with his cane. And as he turned, I says, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada. And then I began to cry. And I kept crying. I couldn't understand. God allowed me to see Srila Prabhupada again, because there's a matter of purity of heart, and that has not happened with me. But I'm thinking that I really want to be able to touch his feet. So I have a few friends, a couple friends, that I think are very pure at heart. And I think they want to see Srila Prabhupada more than me. So I'm praying like anything. And I think one of them will take me back and enable me to see Srila Prabhupada again and touch those lotus feet. That's all I can think. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Good afternoon, my friends, devotees. I have been searching for some kind of spiritual path since 70s. I was going to different organizations, different things. I think accidentally I met up with some Krishna conscious devotees. Accidentally I was introduced into that. I think that is that is my Purva Janma karma to meet up with Srila Prabhupada's devotees who gave me a book, and that book brought me to Krishna temple, and then I loved the prasadam. That prasadam also motivated me to read Srila Prabhupada's books. And the book that I really loved was his Bhagavad Gita book, word for word transliteration, since I loved Sanskrit verses. And his explanation was amazing. I never had that kind of exposure to word for word translation of either Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavata. I think, and also even though we may have been chanting different mantras, since I was coming from a Vaishnava family, Sri Vaishnava family, from Srirangam and Janjuri area, and we were introduced into Sri Vishnu, Lord Narayana and Krishna very well, and we were chanting different mantras and different things. But at that time, when you are 4 or 5 years old, you don't know the meaning of any of that, because it is customary to social, cultural event. You have to follow your traditions. We were all doing it. But I think the real point of this Maha Mantra, because of his grace, Srila Prabhupada, and also he brought Lord Chaitanya into picture, and because of his potency, we were able to chant Maha Mantra. I mean, we were chanting so many different mantras, but this mantra is so powerful. Even going to different places or different anywhere, we can chant anytime, anywhere, at any location, without any deviation or anything from it. We still get the full benefit of our spiritual thing. And I'm so grateful. Still, we may go through all kinds of trials and tribulations in life, but still he makes you go forward, okay? Just follow the principles, what he asked you to do, and keep chanting. You know, sometimes you may not be attentive, and you may not be getting up at 4:30 or 5 in the Brahma Muhurta, but still we are striving. We are not perfect devotees yet, but still we are struggling and striving for something better in our life. I hope Srila Prabhupada continues to, shower his mercy on us, so we can go forward in our spiritual goal of being with Srila Prabhupada, and maybe he can hold our hand one day and take us to Krishna. And I don't think we should just forget about we shouldn't get tired of saying that sometimes I'm not progressing well, I'm not getting up doing this, I'm not perfect, but we are all imperfect souls. So only Srila Prabhupada can give you that divine instructions to go ahead and do the best you can in your life. Please go forward. We may go through all kinds of things, but keep continuing your effort. We will all be there one day. Thank you very much for giving the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
So, I was thinking of what to say, and I would do it more extemporaneously than writing, and it's more from the heart. So I had the thought of, how do you express gratitude for someone who has saved your life? And in thinking, it's not just this life, but Prabhupada has saved all of us on an eternal basis, and not just a few of us here, but millions of people. So what happens is, when someone saves your life, is you have a debt to that person in the material society. So we have a debt that we can't repay. We can never repay the full amount. So we have the challenge of, how do we show that gratitude? And most of our gratitude for Srila Prabhupada has been converted into love for Krishna, love for Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada gave us the instruction of how to show our love for him. Your love for me will be shown how you cooperate and to take his mission and make it a success. So in thinking of success, it reminds me of a quote that Bill Gates said in regards to his work in eradicating childhood diseases in Africa and working with the WHO. And he said that you succeed at what you measure. And one of our society's shortcomings, and most of us, is we don't measure what we succeed at. Prabhupada has given us the mission, but we don't have any criteria or any ruler or any measuring stick, nor do we evaluate our work on a regular basis. So I would encourage all of us in our little community here to take to heart that if we want to succeed in showing our love and gratitude for Prabhupada, that we begin to measure what we do. We can measure by number of people coming, we can measure by our public media events, we can measure by how effective we are in our own little Mount Airy community, we can measure statistically, we can measure by progress of how relevant we are in society. We can measure by number of books, we can measure by number of senior visitors to give lectures in the broader community. We can measure with our relationships with the Lutheran Theological Society or Seminary. We can measure with the Christian College right behind us. So until we begin to measure, we will keep going down the same path of just being insulated in our own little world of mercy. Prabhupada didn't come to give us alone his mercy. He came to give the whole world Krishna consciousness. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे Srila Prabhupada, I am an insignificant devotee. I don't think that is any new news, but this year I would like to do some significant service. Over the last few years, having taken shelter of your good disciple, I've just realized the significance of your endeavor, the enormity of your endeavor of having come here. Just recently we had talked about the day you had started your journey on the Jaladuta, and I just realized how important that was for the whole entire world. And so this year I want to really try and make that realization go forward a little bit more in helping my little friends also understand that. I feel that's important for two reasons. I think having taken shelter, whatever I had been hearing all these years is starting to make more sense now. It's almost like I'm grasping what I have been hearing all along. Prabhupada night, we keep reading the verse, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam parma tasmat parataram devim tadiyanam samarchanam. It is service to devotees of Krishna that is helping me understand what needs to be understood. And so I want to sort of convey that. My little service at this temple is to teach children, and that is what I want to be able to convey to the children, what I have realized. So students in Damodar class have come up with these realizations, and this is what they are grateful to you for. And so I just want to read some of them. Students in Damodar class are very grateful to you, Srila Prabhupada, for your many contributions in lifting the many fallen souls all across the globe. Here are some of the reasons for their gratitude. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for establishing ISKCON around the world, so that wherever we go around the globe, we are never too far away from you and from Krishna at these ISKCON temples. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for spreading Krishna consciousness around the world. We are now able to learn how to be a good devotee, how to chant, and most importantly, for giving us Bhagavad Gita as it is. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for your books and the purports in them, because from your books we can learn all the instructions we need to be a good devotee of Lord Krishna. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for introducing Jagannath Rath Yatras to the West. Being able to pull the chariots and seeing the devotees outside the temple and the pleasure that they give to the public at large is wonderful. We love the opportunity for service to the lordships during the planning and execution of this great festival. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for giving us many opportunities for service, because when we chant, we are begging Krishna to engage us in his devotional service. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Okay, thank you, Shilbarade, and now Dinadaya Prabhu will speak.
Imam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Staya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivashisha Shinyavari Gashashari Satarane. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and Buddhism. Srila Prabhupada's mission was to spread Krishna consciousness to the West, and of course now it's spread throughout the world. By his grace, he saved the most fallen first. I feel inspired to rededicate myself to Srila Prabhupada's vision on this Vyasa Puja, and the inspiration comes from sincere devotees. Association is essential, however, it may not always be in person, especially due to COVID-19. I recently was on a Zoom meeting with devotees across the country who participate in a project, an ISKCON project called Krishna West. I'm hoping to get ideas for how to share Krishna consciousness with others at this time. Fortunately, we have the technology to communicate, and of course, Srila Prabhupada's teachings, example, and the holy name. And by the way, the YouTube video yesterday was really wonderful, so I really appreciate being able to see Janmashtami on YouTube Live. That was great. To quote a senior Prabhupada disciple, Hridayananda Das Goswami, we must preserve entirely the purity and integrity of Srila Prabhupada's message and mission, and yet present them in a skillful way that attracts the world in which we live. I pray that I can do something for Prabhupada to spread his mission and also increase my dedication to the holy name. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Yes. Okay, so we're, fishing it out.
Srila Prabhupada, when I joined the Krishna consciousness movement, I tried to surrender to you. I knew your teachings had saved me from death and were helping me understand and serve Lord Krishna. Since that time, I continue to uncover numerous sections of my heart where I harbor envy and resistance to your message. In the 50 years that have passed, it is dawning on me, at long last, that these misgivings only reflect the influence of my own conditioning and misguided faith in illusory empirical knowledge. And it has now become crystal clear to me that your instructions are as true and liberating as always, even though I still have difficulty appreciating them. In my high school science class, we were encouraged to revel in the recent discovery of the double helix structure of DNA, along with the wondrous synthesis of amino acids in a cloud chamber. These amazing finds were said to be the building blocks of life itself. The creation of a living organism in a test tube was imminent. 50 years later, and not even a single amoeba has been brought to life. You unwaveringly, tirelessly, and precisely champion the fact that life is eternal spirit and can only come from life, past, present, and future. Although not political, Srila Prabhupada, you often alluded to the foibles of democracy. You pointed out that despite big talk of world peace and unity, the number of flags displayed at the UN kept increasing. Thinking myself American and being falsely proud of such a heritage, I tended to think that so-called democracy wasn't so bad and perhaps was pretty good. Time and experience have shown that my views were painfully naive. You always emphasized that a Krishna-conscious executive would act for the real benefit of the citizens. Others, who you often termed rascals, would not. Since at least the time of Moses and Alexander, people in the West have been suspicious, prostrating themselves before forms and people. Srila Prabhupada, you quickly implement the worship of the deities of Lord Jagannath and Radha Krishna in the West. And to those of us who criticize worship of graven images, you countered that the word image means imagination. You argued that the deity of Krishna has not been conjured up in anyone's imagination, but is described in me. Thought that this use of the word was word jugglery. But then I happened upon a dictionary listing another meaning of the word image being something construed from the imagination. Srila Prabhupada, you were all right all along. And you told a disciple who didn't feel like bowing down to do so anyway, and it would come naturally, and you were correct. Citing Vedic understanding, Srila Prabhupada, you practically alone boldly voiced your view that the astronauts didn't go to the moon. And even if they did, it would be of no use. 48 years later, what tangible benefits to the world have come from the $200 billion spent by NASA on the project? And what of the moon rocks, the treasure brought home from the project? Of the 270 Apollo moon rocks, almost 200 are unaccounted for, being subject to theft and forgery. And those still around have been locked away in storage for decades. Srila Prabhupada, you yourself regularly and Hare Krishna japa and kirtan and danced. And because you did so, we did so. Over the years, other mantras, songs, and jingles have become prominent for a time and then dwindled away. But because you always chant Hare Krishna, I take strength from your example and at long last try to focus on chanting holy names of the Lord. Despite your clear and repeated warnings, I entertain hopes and dreams that adjusting my material conditions could lead to success, peace, and happiness. And I have wasted untold time in those pursuits. Over years of attempts and failures, it has become increasingly clear that you were always, and I should know better. Srila Prabhupada, there are innumerable examples of you being the bearer and embodiment of absolute truth, and that is wonderful. But even more awesome is that in addition, you are a transcendental and divine person. A person who is kind, fearless, dependable, energetic, gentle, appreciative, humorous, and mercifully cutting all at once. You are a person who continues to offer the opportunity to your sincere followers to reciprocate with you by engaging in your service and the service of your movement, ISKCON, and in so doing, find real and lasting happiness. Srila Prabhupada, you encouraged us to speak, following in the footsteps of great authorities. And on your appearance day, I would like to read the last paragraph of your offering to your spiritual master from 1935, which I find particularly eloquent and moving. Personally, I have no hope to have any direct service for the coming crores of births of the sojourn of my life. But I am confident that someday or other, I shall be delivered from the mire of delusion in which I am presently so deeply sunk. Therefore, let me, with all the earnestness, pray at the lotus feet of my divine master to let me suffer the lot which I am destined to do for all my past misdoings, but let me have this power of recollection that I am nothing but a tiny servant of the Almighty Absolute Godhead, realized through the unflinching mercy of my divine master. Let me therefore bow down to his lotus feet with all the humility at my command.
Is there anyone else that would like Kayali approval? Okay.
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णापिस्ताय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ते वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात्देशतारिणे Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to glorify our most beloved spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, on this auspicious day of his Vyasa Puja, to make our life perfect and get his blessings. On this occasion of your Vyasa Puja, please accept my most humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada, one devotee asked you about why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Bhakti Vinod Thakur could not reach globally. So Srila Prabhupada said that because they wanted to give me the credit, they were actually much more qualified and they could have done it, but just to give the credit to insignificant soul, they just wanted me to do it. In the same way, like Lord Krishna, he killed practically everybody in the Mahabharata, but he gave credit to Arjuna. In spite of your advanced age, You constantly work so hard with so much energy and dedication to spread the Krishna consciousness movement. You are sleeping only few hours just to write all the books for all of us. So generation after generation, we can read those books and take advantage and make advancement in our spiritual life. Also, you tirelessly traveled all through the world 13 times globally and spread Krishna consciousness and make so many devotees and open so many temples for all of us. Srila Prabhupada, you told us very often that Krishna consciousness was not dependent on your physical presence, but upon being fixed in following the instructions, his instructions properly. You also said that love to you will be shown by the cooperation among each and every devotee in our movement. By your blessing, Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON is spreading very nicely in all the countries, including Russia, China, and is spreading so nicely. And it is just like a kind of a wildfire. Srila Prabhupada, you showed us humbleness to all of us by taking, like Srila Prabhupada was standing in the line with other karmis, at that time, and all the drug addicts actually waiting for his turn. So he was so humble, he was Mahabhagavad, but he was waiting in the line to go to bathroom, like that. It shows that how great he was. And you already requested your disciples that kindly help me. This is my request. Print as many books as possible, in as many languages as possible, and distribute throughout the world. Then this Krishna consciousness movement will automatically increase. And now we can see how your words are coming true. Srila Prabhupada, please bless me so that I can follow your instructions seriously. Only by following your order and your instructions, we can achieve the mercy of Guru and Krishna, and thus we can be protected from the Maya's strong influence. And in Kali Yuga, we can see all around us how Maya is affecting everyone. This world is too dangerous and Maya's influence is overwhelming. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for all your instructions and mercy you have given to me, my family, and our entire ISKCON society. Kindly always keep me under the shade of your lotus feet, your insignificant servant, Kevaladas. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Shri Prabhu, do I have time to read the temple offering?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh yeah, they're calling for monsoons today. My mom just told me, so it's all to her. No rain.
My husband and I were asked to write the offering for Philadelphia Temple for the Vyasa Puja book. Because of COVID, they didn't print books this year. Prabhu, do you want to read it? No? Okay. So they sent it to me they sent it to us email form. Let's see if I can find it. I did want to say one story that I heard this past year from my god sister giving class. I believe it was in Chalpati. And it's either in this bag or the other bag. Thank you. But so it was such a nice little story. I thought I would repeat it and share it with everybody. It was my god sister Rukmini, our GBC, and Uttama Prabhu, his wife, gave this amazing class in India not too long ago. And she was, can I just take this down a little? I feel like I can't breathe. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so she was saying that in the 70s, when Srila Prabhupada would travel all the time, and we would have usually one male devotee or two stay up all night and guard Srila Prabhupada. So this one, she didn't say what temple it was, but I think it was in the US. And one devotee, LA, it's always LA, so no, it wasn't in LA. But one devotee was staying up all night to guard him. And Prabhupada's light was on upstairs because, as you know, he would hardly sleep, maybe 2 hours a night, if that. And he would stay up and translate the books for all of us. So he was standing outside, this devotee, and there was a garage in this temple. So it started to rain. So he went inside the garage to get out of the rain, like we are going to need to do any minute. And he heard somebody come downstairs into the garage, but the garage was dark. So he turned around and he realized it was Srila Prabhupada had come downstairs to see him in the garage. So he paid his obeisances and he stood up, he said, Prabhupada, is there something I can do for you? And Prabhupada said, you can go where I will not be going. And he's thinking, where will that be? I mean, Srila Prabhupada went everywhere. He circled the globe. How many times was Srila? 12 times? So anyway, he circled the globe many, many times. And so he's thinking, where would that be that you won't go? So he said, where Srila Prabhupada, where can I go that you won't be going? And Prabhupada said, to the future. To the future. You can go, and I won't be able to go. He said, but when you get there, by the way you treat people, they will know how much Krishna loves them. So that's a very, very important statement. So how we treat all living entities, especially humans, and especially the devotees, everybody, but also the devotees within our movement. We need to be kind to one another and treat each other with love. And that's what Prabhupada was saying. Then we'll understand how much Krishna loves us by the way we treat everyone. So that was a really important statement. So I thought I would share that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much, Trilochan Prabhu.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. So, Philadelphia. I'll find it real quick. Sorry. We're up back in the back of the book with Philadelphia. Do the Prabhupada disciples know about Jayadvaita Swami's Vyasa Puja book? That any of the Prabhupada disciples can write for that and send that in? It's a nice book that comes out, but also it didn't come out in print this year because of COVID. But you can, any Prabhupada disciple can write, whether...
There's about 2,000
Really? So whether you're, whatever camp you're in, he accepts your offering. I don't know how else to say it, but no matter where you're at. No, I'm really fine. I just want to read this real quick. So, well, the offering's a little late, so if we have time. Okay, here it is. Okay, Philadelphia. So my husband and I wrote this on behalf of the temple. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept our humble obeisances at your divine lotus feet. All glories to you, who benevolently bestowed on us your blessings by unlocking the treasure house of love of God. As we continue life's task of following your instructions to find our way through this material world, and eventually by your mercy return home back to Godhead, use Srila Prabhupada by your example of surrender, purity, fearlessness, and devotion to Krishna Shine your light on our path back home. You were selfless in your desire to please your spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Lord Krishna. Your determination to spread Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, despite all obstacles, is nothing short of extraordinary. Now as we grow older, we feel you have blessed us with increasing spiritual insight, so our relationship with you continues to mature. It is forever evolving and deepening, allowing us to see with greater clarity the transcendental relationship between Guru and disciple. Please allow us to feel your soothing presence, which helps guide us to faithfully serve you so that we may continue to grow in our practice of sadhana bhakti. Kindly keep us in your view so that we may forever remain in the protective shade of your divine lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada, as an empowered servant of the Lord, you woke up the sleeping souls in this world. Just as Lord Balaram, in the form of Anantasesha, has been singing the praises of Lord Krishna since time immemorial, and will continue to do so for all time, we hope we can continue to speak of your glories eternally. In 12 short years, you authored more than 70 books, a superhuman feat, while continually preaching the glories of the Lord. In addition, you oversaw the management of your worldwide ISKCON movement. Your translation work occurred mostly in the wee hours of the morning, often allowing you to sleep only 2 hours per night, sometimes not even that. In spite of your being elderly and with fragile health, you accomplished the unthinkable. You came to a strange country at age 70 with virtually no money, not knowing anyone, and not having anywhere to live. Yet you sat down under a tree in a park in one of the most poorer sections of New York City, and beating a little bongo drum, you attracted young and old to listen to your kirtan. Eventually, some began to chant and dance with you. In this way, the Krishna consciousness movement started, and eventually it spread throughout the world. You taught us everything we needed to know about how to change our bad habits into habits of Vaishnavas. In this way, you turned hippies into happies, as you told one reporter. Our lives changed forever. As we enthusiastically chanted and danced in kirtan, you watched us from your Vyasa and smiled brightly, nodding to encourage us. You often played the gong and motioned for us to jump up and down. As we did with your arms in the air, you smiled even more, so we jumped higher. We never wanted the kirtan to end. You then tossed us flowers, and we jumped even higher in order to catch the mercy of our beloved Guru. Those precious moments have sustained us for 4 decades as we have had to endure our life in separation from you, Srila Prabhupada. Even though most of us were very young when you left this world, we have grown old with the understanding by your grace that you are still with us. You are in our hearts when we pray to you. You are in your books when we read and discuss them. You are in your instructions when we follow them to please you. You are in your murti when we worship you with love and respect. You are present in your pastimes that we watch and your DVDs lovingly created and given to us by your disciples. And we are grateful for this association and separation. Srila Prabhupada kindly continue to guide us at ISKCON Philadelphia so we may please you by remembering what is most important in our lives, pleasing your divine grace by sincerely assisting you
in your mission to fulfill the orders of your spiritual master. Please help us to serve together as one unified congregation in the mood of caring for and cooperating with one another. In this way, your beloved spiritual master will also be pleased, and ultimately we as a community can please the all-merciful Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Your servants at ISKCON Philadelphia, written by Dev Das and so forth. Thank you. So now we'll do the Pushpanjali, and Vishnupada Prabhu will lead that, and then we'll have noon arti. So thank you to everyone for coming, and then we'll have this giant feast, and we like to thank Vishnupada Prabhu and Vamanadev Prabhu for cooking, and everyone else that cooked. Thank you so much for bringing your preps, and who else cooked in the kitchen that we need to thank? A lot of people. Ganapati Prabhu. Anybody else? And Sita Devi did so much, and Shovarade, and her mom cooked, and who? Kulokananda Priya, yeah, and who? Yeah, and Mata. Shobarade's Mata. She cooked, and a lot of you cooked, so thank you. Mrs. Mahajan, thank you so much. And Ed, back to Ed, he made the cookies. So when you come up and offer flowers during Guru Puja, please take the cookie, they're individually wrapped. Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki. So in just a moment we're going to offer Pushpanjali. A devotee will be coming around with flower petals and placing them in your hand. We have a couple things we need to remain mindful of during the Pushpanjali. And we just ask for everyone's cooperation. We all can do this. We will be keeping each other safe. So one is that typically we offer Pushpanjali, we say Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and everybody goes to the ground and offers obeisances. So I'm going to ask everybody that instead of going to the ground and offering obeisances, we stand in pranams. Mentally we offer our obeisances. This is just going to be able to keep us socially distanced, as well as minimize touching from, to the face area. Can we all do that? Yes. All right, thank you. And I know that sometimes people have different ways they want to do it. They'll go almost to the ground, and they say, I didn't go to the ground, but I went almost to the ground. But let's if we can just all do it the same way and keep it uniform, because we have a large crowd. Thank you. The other thing is, oftentimes we offer Pushpanjali, we all come running together in one bunch to offer the Pushpanjali. So we're going to pause after we say Isha Pushpanjali, and there'll be a couple different rows. If we could form rows, and we'll have enough time that each row can come forward and offer Pushpanjali before starting again. That will also help us keep socially distanced. It'll take a little bit longer. It's okay. We want to keep it safe. The last thing is, we have some bees over here. If we leave them alone, let them be, the bees will leave us alone. But if we accidentally go in there and disturb them, they may come out firing away. So we just want to, it's marked off, please just remember that, just to keep everybody safe. Okay, do we have the Pushpanjali flowers? Okay, so we have to pass them around. We're gonna give them to each person. Yeah. All right. Okay, so what we can do is if you can take your chair and move your chair to the back. We can do that while we're getting ready. And then we're going to form 3 rows across. And if we need to form more, we can do that. Srila Prabhupada disciples, make sure you're up front. You come first.
up front here in the first row.
Om Agyana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bande Ham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namane Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Gayataya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Jnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaurikishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambha Rasambodhe Padhambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namane Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Avirbhava Bhumischam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Pancha Kalpa Taru Yascha Kripa Sindhu Yevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha
Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Trishe Namaha Pancha Tattva Atmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surtupangor Mama Manda Matirgati Matsarva Sva Padam Bhojo Shri Shri Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Ratnagara Sinhasanasto Shri Shri Radha Govinda Devo Prishtaribi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambhi Vangshi Vata Tata Sthita Karshandenu Svanair Gopi Gopinata Shriyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Namah Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschapya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali.
Just the first row goes first. Wait for them to come, and the second row, and then the third row. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maybe we can go two at a time. You can go a little quicker. Yeah, we got two Murtis of Srila Prabhupada here. We can offer. We make an offer to the one on the left. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. Again, just the first row.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Men to the left. Ladies to the
Men to the left, ladies to the right.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Once we're done, try to separate out again. Don't cluster up.
Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada, please Jai.
Look forward to it at a time. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma
Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namene Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vishnu Paramahamsa, Believe Jackie Chanta, Aston Sri Maha's Divine Loving Grace, so Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vyasa Vrindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Shalai Dasa Koki Jai. Pinsika Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Vrindi Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopinas, Radhakun Shamkun, Giri Gopalan Ki Jai. Ram Ki Jai. Number 3 Manapur Dam Ki Jai. Ganga Medi Moonlight Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Hadinam Sacred Time Ki Jai. Transcendental Bhakti Sri Krishna. Jagannath Swami Ki Jai. Jagannath Beda Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Sri Shri Gauranga Ki Jai. Sri Shri Radha Swami Bihari Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the symbol of witness. All glories to the symbol of witness. All glories to the symbol of witness. All glories to divine, ever-loving grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
The Lotus feet of our spiritual master.
Main pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is a perfection. It fills all the desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, rock of the world. From him ecstatic prayer emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master, the mercy and friend of the Lord, the master of the devotees. O Master, please mercy unto us. Give us shelter to your lotus feet. We take shelter to your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Divine Loving Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki
Jai!
Prabhupada ki
Jai!
Prabhupada ki
Jai!
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. At this time, we are going to serve out the feast. We're going to need help in different ways from everybody. One, help that we remain socially distanced apart. And we're going to also need help setting up the tables and bringing the prasadam out. So, we have Pratik, Aniruddha, you there, Jaganesh, Prabhu. You can help maybe get the tables out, you know, where the plates and things like that are. We're going to move the tables over here because of the bees. We're going to move them. We don't want to interfere with them. So we're going to move it on that side. And then bringing some prasadam out from the kitchen. I don't know who's from the kitchen, who knows where the things are. They can help. Vamnadev Prabhu. You can follow Vamnadev Prabhu. He can help direct you. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
So there's two. You can have prasad here. We'll set up a couple tables so you can sit on the grass. If you want to take it home with you, that's fine as well. So this is a once in. This is a one-time thing here because of COVID. We really want to